two veterans here. First, one that is retired but not tired, retired from the Federal Radio of Nigeria, Ibadan, and that's talking about Mr. Kayode Joseph. He's also the head of Yes Media Academy, Ibadan, presently. Mr. Joseph, it's nice to have you join us on the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
All right.
Thank
and we also have, well, another veteran. He is not retired because he's more of a private man. So, private man, not retired. That's how they say it. Mr. Yemi Shonde, it's nice to have you here.
Good morning.
I know so many people will just say, okay, that's Mr. Shonde.
He looks very young.
Yeah, he's a young man.
He's a young man.
No doubt about it. It's nice to have you.
It's a beautiful place, I have to say this. The last time I came was until last year, when we were preparing for the NBC Yemi Shonde Media Forum.
All right.
The 6th edition.
That should be at our old...
the old station, old building. I was thinking it would be next year, it's a biennial event that I will come back and talk about the 7th edition in 14 years. Well, coming here this morning, of course, I've been seeing the production, I've been seeing an improved quality broadcasting. And let me say congratulations to the management of this station and, of course, the entire staff, the workforce. It's a beautiful place.
All right. Thank you for that compliment. At least we are getting 1 + 1 from... I said it earlier on. That is going to be an interesting interactive discussion here this morning. Yeah, let me start from you, Mr. Joseph.
All right.
You are currently training people.
Yeah.
You have been on this job for several years before eventually you take your out of the... Now, let's look at broadcasting in some years, particularly in the early years of your own experience. Have you seen any kind of difference between what you used to do and what is being done presently?
There's a great difference. It used to be a very beautiful, very demanding job. You knew that it was taxing, but then because of the passion, because of the interest, because of the fact that you are trained to know that this job is life. This job takes a lot of things from you, demands a lot of things from you, demands total commitment, and also demands a high level of training to give you the professionalism that is needed to make you perform the way you are expected to. So that was the way it was. We were totally committed. Everybody gave himself or herself to it. And that was the way. But now you discover that what even changed it? 1992, when the regulation came. Okay. In those days, the stations that were available belonged to either state government or federal government. But eventually, when the regulation came in 1992, there came great expansion in the business of broadcasting, especially. Investors now came. Private individuals and organizations could now own their own stations, whether radio or television. And that also gave room for more people. In those days, as much talent as you had, it was not everybody that was accommodated at that time. You could be going to a radio station or TV station for so many years, trying to show interest, but there was no chance to enter. But when that expansion came, it gave room for more people to come in. But then the quality, the standard now dropped. Professionalism was now giving way to a much lower standard. And that's what is going on right now. But we feel that because each time our masters in those days, our bosses, will call and say, are you listening to that? Is that the way we trained you? They were retired, they have left, but because of the passion they have, they still continue to monitor, they still continue to make contributions. So we now feel that the best thing to do is to ensure that we create an avenue or platform whereby we can begin to give to these new people what we were given in those days, although there will be improvement, because things have changed tremendously globally in the area of broadcasting.
All right, sorry. Let me just quickly pick one or two things there so that you said at that time so much of passion.
Passion.
All right, fine. I will agree with you on that. But secondly, many people believe that broadcast environment is more of a talent rather than the training you probably have gone through. And possibly I don't know where I will belong in that particular submission, but one thing I know is that presently we now have more educated broadcasters. And despite that, perhaps we are still not having the kind of standard you're talking about now. Because then you can have a very solid broadcaster who just had school sats.
School sats, yes. Now you have graduates.
These days, you hardly will have, a school sat and you want to work in the newsroom.
No, it's not possible.
So what exactly is the issue that makes you...
The missing gap.
Yeah.
Well, the time you were talking about,
yes,
because you had talent, and you had an interest, then the issue of passion driving you to do the job will make you give all things to it. But now, eventually, things have changed tremendously because there is a lot of demand for education now.
okay.
So you have those who are educated now, who didn't have or who don't have as much passion as those who came in those days without much education.
Okay.
There's no much.
Who came in for the interest? Now
For
it's
the
for the
interest.
money.
Now for the money.
Okay, let me move over to you see, yes, you have also made a name for yourself as a broadcaster, no doubt about it. But like Mr. Joseph said, is it much of a passion that is driving you, because I know you see on this, or that you decided to train and develop to this level you are as a broadcaster?
Oh, well, it's interwoven. Let me take it one by one. When I came into broadcasting, I was very lucky to have come at a point where I will be trained. Very lucky to have been trained by a veteran. Late Toba Kwale was my mentor.
Okay.
I was trained at the OGBC, and as at that time, it was thorough training. It's not talent is the first thing. Yes, you can't throw away talent from being creative in broadcasting. Talent is the first push that would, endear you to get interest in the first instance. And coming into broadcasting is a different thing. Even if you have that talent to anchor events in your agboles, in your communities, if you have the talent to joke for jokes and all that. But when you come into broadcasting, it's a different thing because you have to be refined. So when I got into broadcasting, I was privileged. It was, I see it as a great opportunity to have been trained by the masters.
Okay.
That actually gave a whole lot of interest into what I was doing. And of course, I am a very, very unrepentant seeker of knowledge, whether you like it or not, at any level. I love research, I love reading, I love to develop myself at every level, at every stage of my career. That actually also helped me to improve myself, to improve my skills. When I came into broadcasting, I'd always wanted to be a private person, like a private practitioner. Okay. An independent practitioner. Even as at that time, there was no independent broadcasting. As at that time, it was either a permanent staff or at most a freelance. You can be even, there are three categories, permanent staff, an artist, and a freelance. So I moved from, I was never a permanent staff, but I was an artist with the OGBC before I moved to the level of freelance. And by 1992, where the regulation came on board, and there's this proliferation of stations, radio and television stations in the country. Of course, like I said, it really gave way to people that were interested and were talented, that had no opportunities at that time to come into the business. So, well, you say it's a good one because then what we used to have was Radio Lagos, OGTV, OGBC, BSOS. Even before then, it was WNTV. When we were, I was not even born then, but that was what I knew. Then TSOS and all that and all that. Radio Nigeria, is in Abeokuta, the one in Abeokuta, the one in Ibadan. You can have Radio Lagos in Lagos, and OGBC, of course, Ogun Radio, and OGTV. That's all we knew, and that was what I knew. And coming into broadcasting, and the regulation of the broadcast industry gave room to so many other ones. To be precise, AIT came on board, RayPower came on board, and there was exodus from these established stations to some of these new stations. And the exodus now gave room to, okay, a lot of people wanted to come into this industry and they didn't have that opportunity, but gave room to a lot of opportunities. But the truth is this. What I know is that you may be talented, yes. If you don't have passion for it, you are limited. Passion drives even when there are challenges. Yeah. Passion gives you the taste to seek for more knowledge. You want to be your best at all times. Your best was the last program. This is your best program you are doing now. By the next episode, you are rated based on what you put on air or on that next episode. So you want to be at your best at all times. You want to go through a lot of training. When I was with the OGBC, I think I started before I got my admission to the University of Ibadan in 1989. And from the University of Ibadan, I was coming to OGBC, going back to Ibadan, coming to OGBC, because I knew what I wanted, but don't be surprised, I studied forestry. So you can link so many things there. Yeah. From a forester to a broadcaster. What is the link? The link is communication. And communication is life. And the link is
from the spirits of the forest.
It's the spirit of the forest. The link is communication, and communication is life. Yeah. So I didn't. The agricultural whatever did not deter me from getting more focused on what I wanted to do. And of course, don't forget I'd made up my mind that I want to go the private way, an independent way. Even though there was no independent then, I was just like. I wanted to shift towards the freelance and do it. But then you cannot excel if you throw away training. I did not. When you were coming and you do one program, people are saying I'm bad doing, you get into your head and you think you're on top of the world. It's just a mirage. It's a mirage. It's about what you do. What is the content? The sustainability is about the passion, the training and retraining, the untraining and retraining, and being very determined. It is not about money. But if you ask me, what you are talking about, the missing link. If you ask me, now that we have substandard content, it's not far-fetched from some of these reasons I'm about to give now. It's not far-fetched from the economic problem in the country. And let me just put it as it is, straight as it is. Economic problem because in those days, even the government-owned stations now cannot say emphatically or say categorically that all what they incur or what they spend as their either logistics or salaries or whatever recurrent expenditure and everything is being taken care of by the government. No, it's not. It was in those days that the government was taking 100% responsibilities and all that. You go to private stations, it's even worse. Electricity is the killer of any station. I tell you sincerely. You know how much it costs to run a station, the diesel, Now we even have digitization. You know how much you spend on your broadband for you to be on the social media. You know how much you pay every month to the data providers. You know how much your salary you spend on salaries, and you see some stations owing as much as 12 months. And you want them to.
You must not go there.
I don't want to go there, but this is part of some of the reasons. I'm coming. This is part of some of the reasons why you see some stations here selling airtime. I'm not saying it's wrong, but the time you sell to us, to the independent content providers, what is the content? What is the quality of the content that this provider or the producer, independent in quote, is bringing on? What is the quality? Stations will tell you that we need money. Sometimes they look away from professionalism.
Okay.
We have influx of unprofessional broadcasters. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. You said we're going to really bore it out this one. You have a lot of influx of unprofessional broadcasters in the industry now, because I can talk, and of course because I have money to buy airtime on any station. The stations need money to run their station. I buy the time, and you're giving me your 30 minutes or 1 hour, and I come on board unprepared, no research, no nothing, no. In those days when you are in doubt, you leave out. But now, you are in doubt, you are even saying it as if you are very sure of what you are saying. And at the end of the day, the content will be wishy-washy. So you cannot throw away the place of training. You really need to train. Even as a broadcaster, sometimes we need to do some refreshers course to improve our skills. Yeah. So we are really jettisoning professional-ism for commercialization. It is all-encompassing.
All right.
Economy is part of the problem, but for what we know from this side of the set on this board is that we cannot, because of commercialization, throw into the dustbin professionalism. We cannot, because this is our industry. He said that the veterans, the retired veterans would call them and say, Sheng Bobe, are you listening? Are you watching? Are you seeing what is on this station? And sometimes they get high blood pressure because you are concerned about it. It's a life. Broadcasting is life. Yeah. The passion is there. You want to do it right, and you want to. The Nigerian Broadcasting Code says the public is their right to quality broadcasting. But we deprive them of that quality broadcasting because we want to make more money.
Okay. We're throwing away the essence of excellence. And excellence is the key word in broadcasting.
Okay. Mr. Kayode Joseph,
okay.
In recent times, we've seen the emergence of maybe more radio stations, especially in the media space, especially with social media also. Now we're having online radio, everywhere. So would you say that has enhanced broadcasting somewhat? Because we now have some stations that are, they have their peculiarities. Some are just meant for entertainment, some meant for news. So would you say that has really enhanced broadcasting?
It has done a lot in enhancing broadcasting in the sense that it has expanded the scope. There is great expansion. More people can come in now and do what they want to do. But the problem is this value of excellence that we are not paying attention to any longer. Because in those days, everybody was bothered about excellence. Coming out, he said something the other time. He said, you are as good as your last performance on the air. As you are here today now, this is your last performance for now. By the time you come the next performance, if you don't do as well as you are doing today now, you are rated low. Those who know, those who are professionals will tell you what rubbish. They didn't remember that you did well the last performance. And that's the problem that we are having because of this influx of people who are not bothered about excellence, who are not bothered about content based on professionalism, That's the issue we're talking about. Because even the social media is worse for it. Because most people who are there have never had course to get trained at all. So they just feel people are doing these things. Let me do something. That is what is called podcasting now. You can just package something on your own and put it on the air. And nobody is checking. Because in conventional broadcasting, there is what is called the check and balance is there. The producer will ensure that he has done it the way it's supposed to be done. And then there are people to check. And that's why you have production meetings, you have presentation clinics where on a weekly basis, the presentation unit gathers the presenters and look at what they have done over the week. Who made mistake? The news somebody read. That's what is called postmortem. You postmortem a production. You listen to the presenter, you watch the quality of the content. Where did you go wrong? Those people on the social media don't bother about such a thing. They just post things, not based on professionalism. But we are saying that as much as we have expansion in the industry, let's ensure that we keep the pace of professionalism. We ensure that we do it the right way, the way we are trained, the way the job is supposed to be done. You know, many people are not bothered about Nigeria Broadcasting Code. That is there to guide us, to show us where we are supposed to be on this job, what we are supposed to do, what we are not supposed to do. But a lot of people are not doing that. And that is why we are emphasizing training and retraining. You have so many people who are graduates today of mass comm, graduates of English, graduates of many other things, who are interested. He told you just now he did agriculture. I have somebody in my station who did chemistry. He's a great broadcaster today. He's even a general manager today. And he has forgotten about chemistry a very long time ago. And he's doing excellently well in this job. So what we are emphasizing is let these people get trained, because some people don't know what they are doing is wrong. They don't even know. If you tell them, they don't know. But for them to know, they have to seek knowledge, because the emphasis in this job, that is what is called the tripod of excellence. They have to, what is it about? You have to talk about professionalism. You talk about your attitude to the job, your passion, and all that make you seek knowledge to be able to do it the right way. So that's why we're emphasizing that issue of training and retraining.
Mr. Emishonde, earlier you were talking about commercialization, that many broadcast stations are more interested in how to make money. Well, unfortunately, COVID-19 is here, and it has dealt a huge blow on the broadcasting sector. Of course, every sector, nationwide, and of course, worldwide. So how do we find a balance? How do we find a balance?
The balance between what and what?
Talking about commercialization and also good content, because I talked about the fact that, yes, the resources have dwindled somewhat. You're talking about training. So with what we have on ground, do you think, these stations have that resources to say, because I don't think it's for free anyways, to learn from you masters, it wouldn't be for free. So then I'm saying, in the period like this, it doesn't seem as if we have maybe radio stations, bringing maybe their staff for training, for retraining. Some will give the excuse that they are not making money as they used to make money, because we all eat from one pot, just like people say, adverts. That's that's the soul, of broadcasting. No. So I'm now saying, in a period like this, where we have limited resources, how can we go about it? Because we don't know how long, the COVID-19 will stay with us.
Well, my prayer is that it goes very soon, very fast. Nobody enjoys this time. I think it's in every field. It has affected everybody. To answer that expressly, I think the fee for, I'm not talking about the fee now, so I don't get into infomercial, but the fee for the training is very affordable. So I don't think it will be too, what may actually be a problem or a challenge is that in a place where we should have like 10 people coming from a station, maybe they have to rationalize and say, okay, let's have 4 or 5 at this time. When the economy improves, then we send the remaining 5. I think that's what will happen, because it is very affordable. Now, talking about You were talking about the professionalism and the commercialization. That's where you started.
Yes.
Striking the balance. I remember when some 4 or 5 years ago, about 5 or 6 years ago, Katie should know this, when we were to review the 4th Nigerian Broadcasting Code.
Yeah.
For the 5th, now we have the 6th. This is the current one, the 6th. But the 5th one, I think I was part of the code reviewer at UU. We were there for about a week. And we were discussing about the number of spots per program. That's in 30 minutes, we used to have 4 spots then, 4 spots then or so. In 15 minutes, we used to have 1. In 1 hour, we used to have 6. And there was this move to stop all hypes and all that, you know, at UYO then to review the 4th to the 5th Nigerian Broadcasting Code. And there were a lot of back and forth about this discussion about how do we strike the balance. If you take off hype altogether, how will the station make money? How will the content provider also make money? Of course, we know that some presenters can be overbearing. You take a jingle and you still want to talk about that for the next 3 or 4 minutes, a jingle of a minute you have played, and you want to talk about the product for another 4 minutes. So there was this back and forth. We ended up postponing the discussion the way forward to the next day because there were a lot of issues. At the end of the day, a balance was struck, and what happened? They increased the spots number from 4 to 6 in a 30-minute program. And that's 6 minutes. It could be 30 seconds, 12 spots, or 6 spots, 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Or 45 seconds, 9 spots, depending on what the number of seconds. Now, the question now is that are we really loyal or faithful with the number of seconds? That's another issue. Now, the 1 hour has, I think, 9, is it 9 or 12 now? 9 spots. Now, 9 minutes, 18 spots if it's 30 seconds, right? And 9 spots if it's 1 minute. That solved it at a point. Then there was this infomercial segment where it should not be more than 10 minutes. And you package all what you want to do, and it is not live, it's recorded. You know, different issues, striking the balance between professionalism and commercialization. And saying that KT must not voice a jingle because it's an on-air personality. Not just an on-air personality, it's handling a current news and current affairs program. And whatever it says is an endorsement. You know, and there were a lot of issues. Okay, now how would I feed my family? How would I get my...
How would the extras come?
How would the extras come if Katie cannot voice jingle? And they say they are voiceover artists, they are voiceover experts. Give these jingles to the voiceover experts. We are talking our business now, so
yeah.
I hope...
no, it's okay.
So, sorry to cut you short, but in a situation where Katie can also perform as a voiceover artist, maybe multi-talented,
These were part of the issues then. I'm taking you back to how we arrived at where we are at the 6th code now. You know, balancing professionalism and commercialization. They said, okay, Katie should give, if for instance, if you bring your commercials to me, you want me to advertise your company. You know, the truth is this, and that is part of the questions they asked. You pay me my money to give you the commercial. Katie takes that money. It is not compulsory for Katie to use his voice. It's not even professional, according to the code.
Yeah.
You know, but we used to before that 6 years ago, we used to do that, but they said, no, let us clean up the industry. Now, there are professionals that are voiceover artists. Katie takes the money, gives it to the professional voiceover artist. Of course, they have their levels as well. They have core professional voiceover artists. It takes the burden of thinking about the scripts. You may give them the direction, but they are script writers, they are voiceover artists, it's in different segments. At the end of the day, the program is clean because Katie does his job, another voice does the commercials, and it's beautiful. It's not about Katie's voice in the commercial, Katie's voice on the news, Katie's voice on the magazine program, Katie's voice, this, that gets boring. And at the end of the day, you discover that you even make more money than stressing yourself to do all that. One, you have bettered a lot of some people You've given them some takeaways. He has his own time as well on his show, and the program, the content, talking about the quality of the content, is clean, is better. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, because if you don't give those voiceover artists what they should do, they also come into the core presentation, and everything gets stopped. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like a division of labor. It's about us making our mind like, okay, this is what I want to do. You know, in broadcasting, you can be a content provider, you might not be a very good producer. You might be a good producer, you might not be a good on-air personality. Yeah. You might be a script writer and not a good voiceover artist. So it's about knowing what is your strength. It's a very wide environment, but just get where is your strength and you take it very seriously. And I tell you, you get even more money than the way we used to do it when it is everything, every Tom, Dick, and Harry, boo, bah, boo. I want to be the scriptwriter, I want to be the producer, I want to be the director, I want to be the presenter, and I want to be the voiceover artist at the same time. And you model everything up, and it becomes boring. Okay. So that's the way you do it. You strike the balance. Just know where you are and what you can do. And of course, there's what we call media marketing too. So a lot of us don't know about it. Anyway, we're not talking about that.
Okay, our time is really fast spent, but I have this question for you. You are the former president of FIBAN.
Yeah.
I mean, the freelancers.
Independent.
And I've been in some conferences, I mean, with NBC, and I've seen NBC, I mean, knock, some freelancers, because you listen to radio, okay, for example, Yoruba sportcasting, something like praise singing, you hear presenters call names of fans on air.
And yes.
And it's quite rampant.
No business
this is some of the things that are wrong.
What are you doing in this regard? I mean, you as a stakeholder in that association.
This is part of the reason for this training. This is part of the reason for our advocate for training and retraining. And that is why I said there had been influx of untrained professionals, untrained broadcasters, so to speak, untrained on-air personalities. You didn't want to even say happy birthday to Katie in those days, except it's paid for, except you go through the route of personal paid announcement. Do you understand what I'm saying? Not to talk of a presenter saying happy birthday to the governor. I mean, it's not part of your content in those days.
Request program, there was
if it's a request program, you buy a request card, and that is treated as such. I don't even think we have a lot. We don't have much.
Not many of them.
Not many of them. Again.
Everything now goes into
money. This is part of what we are saying. You realize that. Sorry, let me speak this in Yoruba. What has that got to do? But let me shock you. Some of these Yasikra Olobe and Bukola Onigari are paying them to say that.
They pay the bills.
And yes, they pay the bills and they rob the station of that. Some people will not be happy with what I'm saying now, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
So that is part of, and when you do that, now this is the concern. And that is where we get it wrong, or some of us get it wrong. By the time you do that, you are reducing yourself as an on-air personality. You're actually reducing your personality. It is not paid for. Excuse me. It's not paid for. You are giving a free for all advert, free of charge advert, at the expense of the station, at the expense of your content, at the expense of your personality as the presenter. You are actually selling yourself so cheap. We don't get that straight. When I was the president of FIBAN, like you said, I made sure that I sent from every state where we have the association, we sent at least one, some states two, of our members to the FRC entering school. You know why? I went to FRC entering school myself when, after I spent over 20-something years in broadcasting, I felt I needed more training. I went to FRC entering school, and I discovered that there were a lot of things I needed to know that I did not know. Now I'm knowing it. So it will be of great importance, of great advantage for me as a president then to send some of my members to the training school, not with my money, from the association money. Yes, and now it is better. If you see the product of such training, you see them doing it better now, you know. And that is the essence of it. When I left FRFN training school, I still went back to University of Ibadan for my master's in communication and language arts because I felt I needed more. And when I was done with that, I went back for project management because of the media marketing. So it is not about, I've been here for 50 years. I've been here for 10 years. Training is limitless and it is endless. And of course, somebody says, where you lack education or where you think you don't need any more knowledge, you are a dead man.
Yeah.
All right. Now, let me come to you, Mr. Joseph, because I could see in this your brief profile I had here, as the head of Yes Media Academy, that's to say that it's a place where training goes on. Yeah. And I'm still coming back to some of those issues Yemi had raised earlier on, which has to do with the quality that comes on air. Well, for TV may be a little bit reduced as compared to radio.
You're right.
All right. And if you look at some of these people that come on air to say, I am this, and they have different kind of titles. We don't have control. And now we have also raised the fact that there is need for training and retraining. How do you get someone who is an independent producer or presenter to come into training? Because he had passion for adding knowledge. That's why he thought he should go to so place and he should send so place. How do you get some of these people to come into understanding that they need to go through some proper rudiments of broadcast presentation?
We need to keep preaching it. You know, we said that in broadcasting, excellence is the watchword.
Yeah.
And I was talking about the tripod of excellence. You know, the tripod of excellence. You can see that camera now is standing on a tripod.
Yeah.
Now, the tripod of excellence have 3 arms, just like that stand. Now you're talking about knowledge, you're talking about attitude, you're talking about skills. Now, he mentioned that after about 20 years in broadcasting, he realized that he needed more knowledge, more training. So he went to FRCN training school, and he discovered there that there were a lot of things he had been doing wrong. So we need to keep preaching it so that these people will know that they need to seek knowledge if they want to be excellent. A lot of them will not agree. I remember that when I was head of program in a particular station, I was trying to correct somebody. He looked at me and said, I have been in broadcasting before you were born. So what do you want to tell me? I said, well, this is the problem. If you carry that kind of mentality, you will believe you don't need knowledge any longer. I was talking to a particular set of presenters, independent presenters. They were on a particular station where I was. And I wanted to organize training. I saw they were not showing interest. And I called them, what's the problem? Come for this training. He said, look, we have gone to, so we have so many certificates. I said, so if you come to my office, you see a load of certificates. I said, training doesn't end. It continues because life itself is a continuous learning process. And that's why you find professors still going for conferences. That's why you find so many people who are learned, who are scholars, still going for one form of training program or the other. I told them they are not interested. But we need to keep stressing it. And that's the essence of this kind of discussion. Yeah. We need to continue to create fora where we can let them realize. He organizes a training program with MBC and invites a lot of them. Some of them come.
We hosted one last year.
Yes.
Some of them will come.
We don't know when next will be coming.
It's next year now.
Okay.
It's a biannual workshop.
You know, some of them will come. Yeah. Some will not come. Those who are able to be there and they find that they actually have been doing certain things wrong, we take that message away. So we need to keep emphasizing it. And where we have the opportunity, when they are doing it wrong, we need to let them know that they are not doing it right.
Okay, Mr. Emishonde, I know you've been to institutions, you know, you talked about you had your master's in computer language at University of Ibadan, but are you also comfortable with the level of training? I mean, in polytechnics, in universities, because I know that, I mean, when you look at some universities or some polytechnics don't even have a radio station, and they say they are training, you know, mass communication students. Some lecturers, you know, are not vast. They are not broadcasters. They were not one. So I want to say, what about the pragmatic, you know, approach, you know, to broadcasting? Because yes, we could go and we write theories, you know, McGraw-Hill theory, agenda setting theory, but by the time you come to the field, you find out that it's a different ballgame entirely. So basically, let's look at the pragmatic approach at our institutions.
Well, I think that's a national problem. It's a national problem because it's everywhere in the country. You get to some schools. I've had some of these graduates from some of the universities and even the polytechnics. Some will even come for, do you call it now, IT? Or what do you call it? Yes. And you see a lot of them saying they have never been into any station, as in any studio, any recording studio. You know what that means? A lot of their schools don't even have a recording studio. Forget station. They can't have, all of them cannot have radio station, community station. No. But we are talking about a recording studio where they can practice what we're talking about. If you tell, I was taking some of these IT students on a talk, and I was talking about reel-to-reel recording gadgets and editing materials, reel-to-reel machine, and they would say, which one is reel-to-reel? I mean, what it means that their lecturers don't even know the history of broadcasting. They don't know what level, from what stage to the other, is, what's this other one? I've forgotten now. They don't even know from what stage to the other we got to where we are now, before we come into the digital what do we call it, having now, digitization. Now, it's a national problem. Most of the schools don't have a recording studio. What you teach them in the classroom is just theory. And even some of this that you are teaching them could be maybe obsolete, or you don't even have a grasp of what you are saying. Maybe you cram it from somewhere and you just pour it on these students. And they don't know most of these things. This is part of the reasons why we have some of these graduates of XY, maybe clinical communication, whatever it is, coming into broadcasting. You expect so much from them that they must have been taught well, properly tutored, and they come and they don't. But some schools do have. It's not at this all schools. Some schools do have some of these studios where the students can actually practicalize what is being taught in the classroom. So some of them do.
Is that what this Media Academy all about? Let's talk about this Media. Media Academy. What category of people do you think could benefit from such a platform? Because we are talking about professionalism now and good conduct as broadcasters. While we wind up, just make it as brief as possible.
Now, that's the essence of this Yes Media. That's the concern. That's because I have been to some institutions, and I have also received some students who have come to do IT in the stations where I was before. Okay. And I discovered that they lacked the real practical aspect. Now, in the Yes Media Academy, we want to focus on that, to give them the practical aspect, in addition to the academics that they have.
Purely broadcast?
No, it's not purely broadcast.
I'm asking, is it a purely on
broadcasting?
Yeah.
No, Yes Media Academy is beyond broadcasting.
Okay.
In Yes Media Academy, we handle the media as a whole. And we'll be talking about journalism, and then we have broadcasting, we have advertising, we have public relations, and we deal in public speaking as well.
And media management.
And media management. You get the point. So it's beyond that.
Okay, this is where we draw the curtain on today's program. Many thanks to you veterans, Yemi Shundi and Kayode Joseph. And of course, those watching who also say many thanks for allowing us to be a part.
Wait, before you close, you didn't say that deliberately you mentioned University of Ibadan because you feel you want to do some alumni association here.
Oh, is it right?
That's why
Don't mind them, greatest rights.
Please, so yeah,
We are the first and the best.
Let's go.
First and the best.
Let's go.
I'm sure you know that,
that
other universities are.
And
Yes, of
I'm
course.
sure you know which one is the first federal university in Nigeria.
He's an Akokite. So
Oh,
you
okay.
understand?
No wonder.
You can understand.
They're always trying to rub shoulders.
Yes, exactly.
Respect your elders.
Well, we have to go now, so many thanks to you for watching. Please do not forget, stay safe, stay healthy, and bye for now.
This is OGTV.